Hi, BookTube. I know, I'm sorry, I've been out for a while. Life has been kind of crazy for a bit, but I'm back, and today I'm finally doing something that I promised I was going to do months ago, and that is the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them book tag. This was originally created by Peter Clark, the writer, and I will include a link to his video down below. If you have not seen it by some miracle, definitely go and see it. It is wonderful and amazing and fantastic and innovative and genius. So definitely go and watch it. Click it right now. In fact, go pause the video and go watch it because it's wonderful. So the first question is, I'm sorry I haven't done a book tag in a while. I've just been doing book reviews, and it just hit me that I haven't really uploaded anything for about 2 months, and I haven't done anything other than a book review for about 4 months. So, not that I have a wide viewer audience or anything like that, but I thought, it's time. Yeah, it's time before, BookTube passes me on and I get too old to do any of this. Not that I'm that old, but you know what I mean. Question 1. Niffler. Seeking out treasure like jewelry or coins and stealing whatever they can get their claws on is their greatest skill. What is a book that you've borrowed or stolen? And my answer for that is The Witch of Blackbird Pond. I originally read this book for the first time in 6th grade, and and I fell in love with it, and I borrowed it from my teacher, and I never gave it back. So, this is a different copy because the copy that I have, that I stole from her is, fell apart, and so for Christmas a few years ago, I asked for a brand new copy, and as you can see, it's wonderful, and it's hardy, and I take it with me everywhere. But for years, I took, my stolen copy of The Witch of Blackbird Pond, everywhere with me, and it kind of became like what's it called, like a security blanket. So when I was traveling the world, and if I was going somewhere new, I would take The Witch of Blackbird Pond with me, and I would read a few pages, and it would just calm me down. I took it with me to India, I took it with me to China, and I felt, and I still have it, but I don't really carry it with me anymore because it's just too fragile. But, so, to my 6th grade teacher, I'm sorry, but on the bright side, I have made good use of it. So, question 2. Bowtruckle. Pickett is one of Newt's favorite creatures who has a talent for picking locks. What is your personal favorite book that unlocks the key to your true personality? And this book was really this was really difficult for me, but something that I went with, I have so many favorite books, as I'm sure anyone on BookTube can attest to. They all have so many favorite books, it's hard to pick just one, but I ended up going with a book that really describes my personality really well is Independent People by Haldor Laxness. I Betty read this with Josh from Literary Gladiators a few months ago, and this book is absolutely exquisite, and I think it really captures the drive for independence and the drive for, the struggle to be standing on your own 2 feet and to survive in the wilderness and against the harshness of reality, and that battle between family and subsistence. And so I absolutely fell in love with this book, and this was actually his first novel, and it blew me out of the water. And actually Haldor Laxness won a Nobel Prize for this book, a Nobel Prize in Literature. And more than anything, I've really identified with this book. Not that I'm even Icelandic, but I fell in love with it, and it's definitely something that I feel like I'll reread 10, 20, 30, 50 times over, and will find more and more that I love about it each time. Let's see, the next question is, Thunderbird. One flap of a thunderbird's wings can create enormous storms, and their power gives them the ability to sense danger. What is a book that creates a storm of discussion because of the danger it attracts? Well, For this book, for this question, I went with I Am Malala, the girl who stood up for education and was shot by the Taliban by Malala Yousafzai. This was a book that I read about a year ago, and I'm sure you've heard of it. Malala was Malala was an activist for girls' education in Pakistan, and she was being threatened by the Taliban, but she kept going to school, and she kept fighting for other girls to go to school, and she was shot in the head by the Taliban. And I actually have a review for that on my channel, so I will include the link to that down in the description box, and if you want to go check it out. But I think that this book has really sparked a lot of conversation on the importance of girls' education around the world, and the importance of educating girls and educating because if you neglect to teach girls, not only can take out the moral implications out the window. How will their children be educated? How will the economy function when you take out half of its labor force? There are practical considerations that you have to be willing, that you have to look out for. And so it's very, and I was so inspired by Malala's story, and I really feel like it's just really resonated with so many people, and it's really resonated with me because it reminds me not to take advantage of the opportunities that I have to read and to go to school and to learn and to expand my mind and to go anywhere that I want to go. So, number 4. Swooping Evil, an extremely scary creature that is capable of sucking out brains and whose venom can erase any bad memory. What is a book you'd like to forget? Well, and for that, I'm going to go with The Maze Runner by James Dashner. The Maze Runner is single-handedly the worst book I have ever read, not just in 2016, but ever. And I've read snippets of books by Rush Limbaugh, so my standard of bad is pretty low, so that should tell you something. I think it was really horrible. Oh my gosh, I'm so annoyed that I wasted so much of my life reading it. I didn't spend that much time, but I could have been doing so many better things, even if I was doing nothing. So it makes no sense. It's an insult to every person's intelligence, and it's a bestseller. If anything, it gives me hope that I can be an utter and complete failure at my craft and still make a ton of money peddling absolute trash. Okay. Demiguise. Peaceful beasts that can turn invisible and have light precognitive abilities, allowing them to feel the future and change it by anticipating outcomes. What is a book that depicts and predicts a possibly visible future, bleak or otherwise? And for this, I went with Anthem by Ayn Rand. I don't tend to read a ton of dystopia, but Ayn Rand, of course, is very popular. And I particularly went with Ayn Rand as opposed to maybe like Margaret Atwood or someone because, or George Orwell, because I really feel like Ayn Rand has been taken to heart by the conservative movement a lot more than maybe The Handmaid's Tale has been taken by the feminist movement, or, I think that it's taken much more literally, and it's frequently referenced by by politicians a lot more. Not maybe Anthem specifically, but this is the only Ayn Rand book I've ever read. But I know The Fountainhead is very popular. Like Ted Cruz has personally gone out and recommended that that people read The Fountainhead. So this is about a world where individualism has been erased. People don't have names, they have numbers, and they have assigned jobs. And so this one man, he discovers the word I, and he learns about freedom and he learns about individuality, and it's quite short, and actually it's shorter than this implies because half of it is her own basically like rough draft of the book, so it only goes to about here. So there we go. But oh, and if you aren't American, Ted Cruz is a conservative politician here in America. He's a senator, and he ran for president, and so he's a very popular figure and very well known. Yeah, so I went with Ayn Rand. Acme. They can grow to the size of a football field or shrink to the size of a tiny teacup. What is the largest book you own and the smallest book you own? So, I mentioned on this channel before, I have a book that's the complete works of William Shakespeare, but then I realized maybe that's kind of cheating because it's really more like 12 books in one. But also, I didn't want to reach it down from the top shelf. So I instead got this book, which is one that I'm currently reading with some other people on BookTube, and it is The Tale of Genji by Lady Murasaki. And as you can see, it's quite hefty. I'm not super far into it, but yeah, this is definitely the largest individual novel that I own. And the smallest book that I own, it's called Our Dumb Century, and it's a collection of articles from The Onion. My sister got this for me as a gift, and it is 100 Years of Headlines from America's Finest News Source. If you don't know, The Onion is a satirical news source that makes fun of current events and American politics. Like, for example, dastardly Japs attack colonially occupied U.S. non-state. Congress declares war after sneak attack on Imperial U.S. holding. FDR, we conquered the Hawaiians first. So as you can see, so it's very funny. Or like, or like, Supreme Court upholds Mississippi law requiring black voters to be white. Like, you know, so it's just, it's good for a laugh, but it also, I think, there's like an inch of truth, which is why it's kind of a dark sense of humor. But that's the kind of humor that I like, the satirical. Let's see. Nundu. Difficult to catch. They can move silently despite their immense size. What is an audiobook you listen to silently whilst traveling? This was a book that I read, or listened to rather, a few months ago, and it is The Girl Who Fought Napoleon by Linda Lafferty. This came out really, quite recently, 6 months ago, I believe. But I liked it so much that I bought my own hardback copy because I thought I would like to reread this. I listened to it on Audible, but my Audible trial expired, and I'm like, well, I'll probably like to reread it. And so, a novel of the Russian Empire, and this is about a woman who, I'll put this on this side, a woman who disguises herself like a man to join the Russian army and to fight Napoleon, and and it's based off of a true story. Against all odds, she fought for Russia's freedom and her own. In a sweeping story straight out of Russian history, Tsar Alexander I and a courageous girl named Nadezhda Dorova joined forces against Napoleon. It's 1803, and an adolescent Nadia is determined not to follow in her overbearing Ukrainian mother's footsteps. Nadia is a horsewoman, not a housewife. After Tsar Paul is assassinated in St. Petersburg and a reluctant and naive Alexander is crowned emperor, Nadia runs away from home and joins the Russian cavalry in the war against Napoleon. Disguised as a boy and riding her spirited stallion, Alcides, Nadia rises in the ranks, and even as her father begs the Tsar to find his daughter and send her home. So I know the woman disguises herself as a man and joins the army story has been done before, but it is really well done in that particular novel. Graphorn. Newt has saved the last breeding pair, and without him, the species as a whole would have gone extinct. What is a book that is going extinct that you want to save? And this book that I chose is one that I've been reading as an ebook, and that is The Woman's Bible by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and several other suffragettes. Sorry, my phone is going off. Like, basically, basically, Elizabeth Cady Stanton was one of the suffragettes, and she was also a very early atheist. So she and several other suffragettes who were cynical of what the Bible had to do with how the Bible inflicted sexism upon women. They basically went through the entire Bible, and they wrote commentaries on the absurdity or the historical inaccuracies or the conflicting pieces of information from other parts of the Bible. And so they it's hilarious, it is witty, it is scathing. And unfortunately, not many people have read it, but Elizabeth Cady Stanton is just superb. I love her. She's fantastic. She's like my favorite person ever. But you can actually get the book for free on Amazon. The copyright has expired, and so if you have a Kindle or a Kindle app, you can download it for free. I will also leave a link for that down in the description box so that if you're interested, you can read it. And yeah, I really wish that more people read it because boy, is it fantastic. Especially in the modern day age, they're trying to separate this idea of tradition from religion, and they're often so intermixed. But oh my gosh, like I've laughed out loud at how harsh they are. They're just so snarky. It's wonderful. Okay. 9 3/4, Billywig. Their powerful sting can affect both muggles and magical folk alike. What is a book you've read with someone else that stung you emotionally? Well, this is a book that I did read by myself, but I read it off of the recommendation of both John Green and Candice from Candy Something. John Green of the Vlogbrothers, of course. And, oh my gosh, I went with The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This book will tear you apart. It'll tear you apart, but it's a really necessary read. But it's hard to intentionally find a time where you're like, okay, I'm emotionally prepared enough to read something that will horrify me, but it's necessary. But wow, it's been a year and it's stayed with me. Not a particularly difficult read, but an important one. And last one, Erumpent, a friendly creature unless you're a foe. Their thick hide can repel most spells and charms. What is an extremely dense read that was hard for you to get through? And for that, I am going to go with a book that I'm not finished with quite yet, and that is The Life of Arthur, or Le Motet d'Arthur, and by Sir Thomas Malory. This is the original legend of King Arthur and his Knights of Camelot. I was excited to read the original classic because I hadn't really heard, I didn't really know many of the original legends, and I thought this would give me a good backstory. Oh my gosh, like, you would think that it would be interesting because it's all sword fights and things, but Arthur is a terrible person, they're all terrible people, there's tons of character names, they are constantly jumping around doing different things from page to page. It's hard to keep up, and it's hard to keep track of the different characters, and it's hard to root for anyone, really. Plus, there's about 18 different kings. You always hear of King Arthur, but there are lots of kings. So, yeah, I mean, I took a break. I'm about, how far am I in? Yeah, I'm about 80 pages in, but I'm taking a break because there's 500 pages and it was just boring me. So, yes. But that is the Fantastic Beasts book tag. I hope that you have enjoyed my rendition. I know that this is approaching 20 minutes and it's kind of long, so if you got to the end, Fantastic! Congratulations! Thank you for watching my video. And again, big thanks to Pleadir Clark the writer. If for some reason you haven't seen his video, go and watch it. It's amazing, and he works so hard on it, and it's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So yes, until next time, I think I'm going to film what I'm currently reading video, but it's good to be back, BookTube. Doei!